Hello, and welcome back to the Ginger Joe Racing Show, proudly sponsored by Oddschecker. We have a new, recent and old guest. We call him King KC. KC, welcome back to the show. How are you doing, my man?
Yeah, all good, man. Less of the old, by the way, but thanks. Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
good,
call you
man.
old.
All
I
good.
said you're an old timer on
No,
the show.
I'm going. You called me old. That's what we're going with this. Yeah, I'm all good, man. All good. Can't complain. Apart from there's no racing, but apart from that, we're all good, man.
Mr. Bowles, snooker, darts player, how are things?
Yeah, fine. Thanks, Jamie. Yourself?
Not too bad. And Joe, who I don't come out of a hat because he's not ginger anymore. How are things?
Yeah, not bad, James. Feeling very much under the weather today, but I had to come on. We got King KC, an honorary member of the Ginger Joe clan. So, yeah, look, we've got a bit of good racing to talk about. Obviously, we've had the entries and a few bits like that. So, yeah, apart from feeling under the weather, James, I'm here, I'm live, I'm kicking. So, less of the moaning, let's crack on with it, I guess.
Crack on. First and foremost, before we start the show, we like to give a shout out to a fellow who's a very avid listener, and it's Michael Marsh. You're always first in watching this, Michael, and we like to thank you from all of us here in the Ginger Joe Racing Show for your constant support. And we thank you. We'll move on, lads, straight away. With the weather being so bad, we're going to go really quickly through a review of just Naas, 3 races the weekend, and a few races in England on Saturday. More concentrating on Sunday. Hopefully, that Punchestown will be on with the Moscow Flyer and the Grade 3 Novice Chase. And then we're going to go through the three entries that have come in for the Champion Chase, the Gold Cup, and the Ryanair. We're going to go into that in a bit of detail with regards to the festival, to be honest with you. All right, so we'll crack on straight away. The first race we're going to preview, quick fire, is the 152 at Warwick, which is the Trusted Trader Hampton Novices Chase over 3 miles, which is the Grade 2. The favourite at 2-1 is Handstands. 5-2 Sherry Darm. Resplendent Glory is fours. St. Davy 6. Johnny Who is sevens. And 10-1 Market Gold. King KC, you're back on the show. You're first up. Just tell us who wins this quickly.
Quick and simple. If it's on, I think handstands will take all the beating after his Sandown win, to be honest. I know Cherry Darm has got course form, but he's got to go up in distance. Or she's got to go up in distance, sorry. So, yeah, maybe handstands for me if it's on.
Lovely. I'm with you all day here, Casey. 3 miles soft ground. I said it that day when he won the Eastern Novice Chase over 3 miles of Sandown. I couldn't see him beaten 2-1 at the moment. Hopefully, look, it is a big 50-50 that this is going to be on. But yeah, I'm with you totally 100%. Handstands will win this night. 2-1 is a good price. Scotty, what do you think here?
I'm hoping handstands will win because I haven't had a bet on the jukebox man for Cheltenham for the Browns, but all the form ties in from that Newbury run with Johnny Who and Mark of Gold. Johnny Who was well beaten by the jukebox man in that race to John Frankham. And obviously, Mark of Gold beat Johnny Who at Ascot the next time. So with handstands, who is probably and already been said by Ben Pauling, the second string in the stable as their staying novice chaser to she. You'd like to see him beat them and well and truly put the jukebox man to the top of their pecking order. So I think handstands wins. I think he was impressive in the Easter at Sandown. And yeah, again, it's if the meeting goes ahead. I think it's a pretty simple task. And I think the 2-1 offer, if I don't know if you get your money back. Ante-Post was 3 days or 2 days before, but if the meeting's offer, I guess you just have to check with your bookmakers what they do. But I think twos is a fair price. If the meeting goes ahead, it's a very good price.
Lovely. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, look, quite good note there from Scotty. Just be careful if you are looking to back these anti-posts. Do just check with your bookmakers first, of course. I mean, I know you like handstands, James. Obviously, makes plenty of appeal. You sort of figured out the trick with him. Obviously, the 3 miles and the soft ground. He's got heavy ground here, so conditions and trip are going to be no issue for him. Sherry Dam's lovely, but she isn't good enough for this, I don't think. She does well against the mares. I'm not necessarily sure she cuts the same cloth when she comes up against the Gowdins. Look, Mark of Gold, I think he'd have a really good chance going right-handed. He did win a maiden hurdle going left-handed at Plumpton, but he sort of got away with it because it was such weak company. And then you've got St. Davy and Resplendent Grey, who finished behind Handstands the last day. Now, they've got a £5 swing this time, which is going to bring them a little bit closer. And I think Handstand's probably still the most likely winner. But on the basis of that £5 swing, I'd just take a chance on St. Davy just because I could back him each way at 6-1. I think he's a pretty much a good thing for the places. I don't think Johnny Who's going to run. I did actually text John Joe and try and get an answer, but I think we cracked the code with him as well. He's much better going right-handed. So I think I'd look at St. Davies 6-1 each way if you can still get the price when the declarations are announced and if racing goes on. But handstand makes the most appeal, really. But I think I'd rather take the 6-1 on St. Davies, just take my chance, really.
Lovely, Joe. Thank you. So we move on to the 3 o'clock at Warwick. Is their big handicap chase of the year? Is the classic chase over 3 miles 5. And the favourite here is for the Bradstocks is Mr. Vango at 3-1. Lady Balco is 6s. Snipe 6s. Apple away at 8-1. Mr. Silver 99-1. Bretney 10s-1. Collector's Items 10-1. Major Dundee 10-1 and 16-1 bar. Casey, I'm going with you. I'm going to let you explain further than me. I'm with Apple away here over 3 miles 5. It's a strip, soft ground. This is what she needs. This is her day. And please say you're not giving up on her.
I am this time.
Oh my God, you traitor.
Good man, Kieran. He knows. He knows.
Yeah, I'm not going with her. I'm going with, actually, if I was going to go with the mare that won it last year, My Silver Lining, if she turns up again.
9-1, 9-1 here, best price, yeah.
Yeah, each way, definitely. I'm sure you'll get 4 places on the day if it's on. She's currently rated 126, won this off 122 last year.
Mm-hmm.
She loves the slog. I think she's third last year. Last time at Hereford didn't suit whatsoever. The further they go, the better she is. Lots to be crying and want us to go home after this in the slog mud around 3 mile 5. She's done it before. I think it was soft ground last year as well when she won it. So I'd be with her on this. And just to boost your point about what you said about the last race, about betting Ante-Post, etc. Last week, I backed Etalon on Bet365 and Sky Bet on the Thursday, and they've refunded for the race being abandoned. So people are willing to get involved at Post, then those two will pay back. So just a heads up for people.
Kieran, stop giving away the Grand Annual winner, will you? For crying out loud.
Grand Annual winner.
There you go. Joe, classic chase, what do you think?
Move on for me here, James. I don't want to pluck something out of the air. I have had a brief look, but I just don't fancy anything. I certainly couldn't have
one of
Apple
those
away.
races, isn't it?
Yeah, I certainly couldn't have Apple away, though. I'm sorry, but I've never been with her in that sense. But happy to be proven wrong. And as I said, I'll stay out of any argument here because I haven't got a fancy.
The only reason I'm saying it, Joe, because probably won't be on. But anyway, Scotty.
Again, like Joe, I was looking at Lady Balco for the pipe team, but I just think the ground's possibly not in favour of the horse. 6-1 is again one of the each way bets you could do. But I just thought Mr. Vango, it's an obvious favourite's chance. He's only gone up £4 from his London National win. Nico de Boinville's just jocked up to ride for Sarah Bradstock. They obviously have good chemistry together as a jockey and trainer combination. 3 mile 5 in the heavy ground, dossing around there. I think the likes of Apple away, we love her on the show, but I think she's pretty hard to get right on a good going day. I think she suits a smaller field, maybe over like 2.5, 2.6, going at her own pace, even though she is a plodder. But no, I just think Mr. Vango would take the beating here again, up £4 from his London National win.
Lovely. We'll move on to Kempton. Might have a better chance of Kempton beyond at the moment, which today says soft heavy in places is a bit waterlogged, but it said soft heavy in places in the Racing Post site today, so hopefully even more of a chance of Kempton, but it will be heavy ground. 242 is the Sevignaco Chase over 2.5 miles. It's just a grade 2 and the favourite as usual in these races at 1-2 for Paul Nicholls is Pictori. Marta Tort 4-1. Hitman 5s, Cheltenham 25s, Unexpected Party 25s, and Ansem is 40-1. Scotty, we'll stick with you. Is it just a penalty kick for Pictori, or would Marta Tort be better up in trip?
I think it's over 2.5 for Martador. I think he'll get the trip, but he's been running over shorter, I think, hasn't he, this year? Mm-hmm. And there's trips at Ascot, I think. But I was disappointed the last day when he ran it in the Desert Orchid. I don't think he was given the best ride, if I'm being honest. I'm really a massive fan of Charlie Deutsch, but I'm going to be ultra critical, of the ride he gave him the last day. He should have been ridden more handy, but I think he still would have had to have found a bit to beat Soul Icon. But for me, I can't go against Pictori. This is literally, he's like the money machine for me in a way where he gets these absolute prime conditions going right-handed over these trips, the likes of Kempton, Ascot, and Paul Nichols takes advantage of him. He places him well, and I think this is one of those races where he just goes and wins. Jamie.
Go.
Yeah, pretty similar to Scotty. I think you want to keep an eye here on Cheltenham and Unexpected Party, because obviously Unexpected Party won the Grand Annual, didn't he, last year? And then you've got Cheltenham here off a marker 136 as well. It's possible that these two could be the contenders for the Grand Annual again this year, perhaps. Cheltenham generally does prefer a flatter track, but if he's on a handy enough mark, I don't see why they wouldn't perhaps give him a shot in the race anyway. So they are interested in that sense. Like Scotty, I was really disappointed on Martator. He was on like a steep upward curve and didn't really run his race last time out. So I think now perhaps is the time to just let him slide for a run or two. Hitman's definitely going to be better on faster ground, so I can't see him going too well here, even though he clearly does better. He's clearly well handicapped, should we say, off 11.2. He gets £6 from Pictory, but he's better. He's on better terms than a few of these off his marker 156. But look, this is exactly Pictory's sort of race, isn't it? A flat track, right-handed, 2.5 miles. He's pretty mustard over these trips, to be honest. I think you'd be brave to take him on with the way the race is going to pan out. I imagine he's going to be ridden pretty handy. Bit of a catch me if you can situation. He's got plenty of speed at the end of his races too. He's probably the short price banker of the weekend, I'd say, Jamie, off at 1 to 2, if anyone's interested in the multiples.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Joe. There actually took the words. Especially you have to watch out what Mr. Skelton's doing with these two horses in the race here, Unexpected Party and Cheltenham. If they turned up, it was definitely viewed to the festival. Right, we move on to the big handicap hurdle of the whole weekend. Is the 318 at Kempton, is the 2 miles 5 Carl Lanzarote handicap hurdle, and we have joint favourites here. Best prices at 7 to 1. Beat the Bat for Harry Fryan and Pose Etoile for Nicky Henderson at 7 to 1. Gypcot 8s, Night of Allen 10s, Daddy the Great 14 to 1, Il Va de Soie 14 to 1, Good Luck Charm 16s, Josh the Boss, Kanzi Mass, Patriotic, West Balboa, and 20 to 1 Bar. Scotty, we go back to you. Lanzarote hurdle. Anything catch your eye?
It's funny, Jamie, because I don't like to naturally be drawn to horses with a string of ones next to their name, but I can't help but looking at a horse in here who's 20 to 1, and he hasn't ran for over a year, and that's Manila Missile, trained by Evan Williams. Traditionally, he's had some good 2-mile hurdlers. I think it was the same owners who had Court Minstrel, who was a decent 2-miler about 10 years ago.
Did he beat Captain Teague last year at Cheltenham in November?
Captain Teague in the Grade 2, 2.5 mile, 2 mile 5 it was, and then Captain Teague went and won the Chalet, and we haven't seen him since that race, and he was absolutely impressive that day. I think he comes in here looking for a 4-timer, but again, the worry is the layoff. A bit like Favour and Fortune, I back to win the Ladbroke. He hadn't ran for over a year, or it was under a year, but it was about 9 months he hadn't ran for. But I'm willing to take a chance at 20 to 1. He's proven it on the trip, over the trip, and I think a decent run race here could suit him. He'll travel into it, and if he's good enough, I think he'll hit the frame. But again, it just relies on fitness. But at 20 to 1, I think there's a lot of deadwood in this race. I'd be happy to take a chance on him each way.
Lovely. Kieran?
Well, firstly, I fancy Pictory for the race before. Thanks for coming through for that.
Well, sorry, Kieran. we knew you were going to pick him anyway, so we just said we'd move on.
And in this one, I'm going to go with the Skeltons. I'm going to go with West Balboa is where I'm going to go with this.
Wow.
Move on anyway. Joe, keep going. Yeah, there. If you have to pick West Balboa. Don't worry, I'll get you back for that. I'm only making quite keep going.
So we won this race 2 years ago, third in the race last year. Obviously, I know they're scamming the marks for Aintree. That's that's probably the plan. But he wasn't actually first. Harry didn't ride him either the time either. I'd hurry the time either. So clearly, it wasn't the plan to win that day, but she still won. So each way price 16 to 1. She's gonna obviously this is generally going to be her prep for Aintree, but if you're gonna get 4 places again, 16 to 1 each way, happy to take that.
Was she third in that race last year as favourite, wasn't she, Kieran? That 2.5 mile handicap hurdle, was she third as well that day, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So would you back her even if she's not even placed in this race on Saturday? If it's ran, would you back her again for that race at Aintree?
Oh, Aintree? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. She's definitely aimed for Aintree.
What did she win it off a couple of years ago? What mark was she? Do you know?
125, I thought in my head.
130 she won this off 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She's now 138, so slightly higher, but And I think Bridget Andrews rode at that time. So obviously no clean. But Tristan Darrell probably could ride it and get the 3 off. Is it 3 ticks off?
3 off. Yeah.
It could be off one.
Joe,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on the Lanzarote?
I actually quite like one here, Jamie, for each way money. I just want to point out quickly that there's 2 horses in here from my UK horses to follow list. Now, when I'm picking my horses to follow, I try and find horses that sort of go under the radar, that are just going to progress, do plenty of winning as the season goes on, that you can have a little bit of fun with. I'm not interested in backing horses time and time again, but just horses that I think will progress. And Plaisir de Flow is in here, and Knight of LM. We haven't seen the best of either of these 2 yet, but they are definitely better handicapped than what their marks are at the current time. So they make a little bit of appeal at the same time. The one I fancy here, though, at a big price is Aston Martini, a nice mare for Nikki Henderson. Now, her form hasn't been that great last time out of Newbury. She didn't really run her race, but I think in these soft conditions and heavy conditions that she'll really start to thrive. If you go back to when she ran at Lingfield in January of 2024, she beat a horse called Betty, who actually went and won here at Kempton a couple of weeks ago in good style. And 7 lengths further back, they had Only by Night, who's turned into a really smart mare for Gavin Cromwell now, and obviously been putting her name into some of the big races. This mare here, Aston Martini's, off a mark of 1, 2, 3. I think she's surely going to be better than that. You can get 25 to 1 about her at the moment. And not only has she shown stamina, but she's shown plenty of speed as well. Now, the reason I'm going to be siding with her is because if you go and take a look at the head of the market, you've got Beat the Bat and Postoir, Jipco, Knight of Valen. These are all horses that are very good on their day, but are more than capable of throwing in a bit of a wobbler as well. Now, with sort of 7 or 8 places available, surely on the day, if all of these line up, I think you're going to be looking at getting 5 to 1 place for Aston Martini. I think she'll stay on really nicely at the end. She travels pretty well too. And again, if you go through a lot of these runners that are in the lineup, she's definitely going to handle these conditions. So I think she's overpriced and probably being overlooked because Nikki Henderson's got Impostoir and Doddy the Great in here. So I'd take a little bit of a swing at her actually at 25 to 1. She's probably one of my better bets of the weekend, providing, of course, that it goes ahead.
Lovely, Joe. I have 2 to watch out for here. Obviously one is for actually backed it in the last race on Kempton. Was either Stephen's Day or the 27th. Doddy the Bloody Great. Has form, obviously. It was 4th last year in the Betfair Hurdle behind, obviously, Iberico Lord and Ludus Sud. That's good. It was only finished 9 lengths behind, and the mark has dropped now to 129. But I thought probably the last day was probably the day, and better form on good ground, but can handle the heavy. But will it get home with 2 miles 5 on heavy ground? Is my time. The one I fancy here big time is, if it gets in, it's number 30 on the list. And I thought they were all crying wolf. And this Chad Bement was having one of his first winners ever, and he claims £10, and it won really well. They were all crying up the hill at Sandown, and if the heavier the ground looks like for the horse, the better. And it looks like it's improving all the time. And it's a stab. It's what, 10, 12 to 1, 16 to 1 on a place. 16 to 1, yeah. Good luck, Charm. I really fancy this. And if it's run off its low weight, like it gets in, might get in at what, 10 stone 10. He's 10 aiming 10, so we're running off 10 stone. So, especially with the grade the ground is going, I would definitely back Good Luck Charm anyway, and maybe a small bet on Doddy the Great if it's ran on Saturday.
You could
no.
Just quickly, Jay, I was just going to say, you can't, if you want to in races like this, if you're like you there, Jamie, you got one at 14s and one at 16, you can afford to have a swing at 2 if you fancy them enough, can't you? Like the places.
100%, Jay. You can. I always feel, Joe, with a handicap, but especially with the amount of runners. If you have over 20 runners, if you're backing one horse, you're wasting your time. That's just me. I always back 2 or 3 now in handicaps.
Especially if you actually fancy them, isn't it? Make sure you fancy them. Don't just swing at them for the sake of it. But like you said,
there's no swinging for the sake of it, as you said. There's no point.
Sure.
Sometimes you will do a swinging for the sake if you back the horse so many times. Like we'll go back to Percival, like the Penny Power Chase. You know what I mean? Like
apples away.
Apples away. We'll keep going till she wins. Now the 144, lads. I can't see a price here for the damn more. So will we skip it?
144. I'm really unprepared
today.
I haven't been there, so I'm just bringing it up now.
I can't get a price for it. Now, there's Hunter's Yarn. There's actually decent field, but there's actually no prices for it. So, will we skip that?
Unless anyone's got a fancy, I'm happy to move on from there, Jamie, to be honest with you.
I'm happy if I don't have nothing for it, so I'm happy to move on. to where are we going? We're going Sunday to Punchestown. And I will get that up in one
We
second.
could be more unorganized today, could we? But
Oh no, we're not. Yeah, we're very unorganized. I will say that. But look, it is what it is. Life gets in the way.
absolutely, absolutely.
Right. Best dance. Should ever hurry up. And I don't think we have any prices for this either, Joseph.
Or not. Probably tomorrow, maybe. Well, you'd expect them.
Well, we have prices for the Moscow, but look, I'll just do off the beaten at the back. It's right. The 12.55 at Punchestown is the 2 mile 3.5 Sky Bet for the fans novice chase over, and it's a grade 3. Now entries are Stellar Story, Touch Me Not, De Capo, Down Memory Lane, Far and Glory, If I Were a Rich Man, Lecky Watson, Path to Rue, Search for Glory, and Walk in Time. So whatever you've seen there now, lads, who would you fancy if they turned up? I know I'm beating against the bat here. And here goes Scotty, put his hand up first. Come on away.
I think Lecky Watson. I think he takes the beating here, Jay.
Mhm.
The way he beat Slade Still the other day. I know Slade Still hasn't set the world on fire, but I think the trip will be okay. I know he ran into things like the Albert Bartlett, and he seemed to be a bit of a stayer as a novice last year, but I think he's got a bit of speed about him. Farron Glory's got another entry, I think, earlier in the weekend. I think he's entered in that handicap chase.
He's entered in the damn more, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's there. Di Capo, I don't know really what to make of Di Capo at Christmas at Leopardstown when he beat Chapeau de Soleil and Key de Bourbon. Whether they just underperformed or they're just not as good as we thought that they were, especially Key de Bourbon. But Di Capo stuck his head down, and I think maybe just a slight step back and trip may catch him out. So Stellar Story I couldn't have. Touch Me Not, I don't. I'm not convinced he's top draw. So yeah, I think it's a good opportunity here for Lecky Watson. And if he got maybe something like 15 to 8, which he probably would, I reckon that's what he'll probably open up. I'd be tempted to go in on him in this. I think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, like I just looked at there now, Scotty, with process of elimination. I think you're bang on the money there, and if he's a decent price, I'll be with you there anyway. Joe?
Yeah, no real say again here, Jamie, unfortunately. Lecky Watson, look, he could be just a horse that's going to improve for these fences as well. The fact that Mullins has just got one entry in here could be a talent story as well. But I want to wait and see the prices first. I haven't had a strong enough look through the race to make a proper judgment, really.
Kieran?
I haven't really got one that stands out. Going on your Lecky Watson point, I fancied him a few times last year, and he always seems to find a way of getting beat when I was on him. So I can't really trust him. I know he's Mullins' only entry, but can't trust him. Path Doro's in there. How many times I backed that horse, and the one time he wins at Cheltenham, I wasn't on, so we won't get involved in that either. And which one of these Gordon ones are out to win the race, and which ones are getting handicapped? Because there's 6 of a minute. He's going to run probably 3, maybe 4 of them. It's a minefield. I'm happy to leave the race alone and just see what happens.
No bother. We'll move on to the main race, I think, of the whole weekend, and hopefully it will be on. It's the 2.25 Punchestown over 2 miles, half a furlong. Is the Sky Bet Club Moscow Flyer Novices Hurl, which is a grade 2. The 5 to 4 favourite is Salvatore Mundi. Quelle Histoire is 3 to 1. 6 to 1 Sky Lord. Sporting Glory is 6 to 1. 7 to 1 Ballygunner Castle. 10 to 1 Cashindale Lad. And Relieved of Duties is 20 to 1. Kieran, we'll stick with you. Is Salvatore Mundi just a shoe in here, or is there a protagonist to take it away from
him? I'm not going to believe in the hype that is Salvatore Mundi. This is like he's the word of Twitter all the way through, isn't he, for the last week? That now he's been entered. Oh, he's entered. Everybody's like, the book has gone 8s into 6s for the Supreme just because he's been entered. Like every man and his dog's on this horse for this race for the Supreme. But I'd rather back Quelle Histoire. I know Joe likes him as well. I thought he did it well first time up, and he definitely finished out his race very strongly. And I think if it is deep ground, he's definitely going to get Salvatore Mundi at it, and he's definitely not going to get an easy race like he did at Tipperary in 65, 66 lengths. So I'd be happy to take 3 to 1 and back Quelle Histoire myself at the moment, rather than the vibes of Salvatore Mundi, who's been off the track for what, God knows how long.
Scotty, what do you think?
First of all, I'll touch on a couple of runners in the race. I'm going to say Ballygunner Castle's a nice horse. I know there's a couple of fans of him. I just worry about the trip, whether it be a bit on the sharp side for him at Punchestown. I definitely think he's a horse of potential, and I wouldn't mind seeing him step up and trip after this. But I think he'll run his race. Um, I agree with KC here. I'm starting to become a bit a believer in Kel Histoire, and Joe himself was the man that put us onto him. Um, I think this year, as a lot of people have said, and I said it quite early on this year, I just had a feeling that these novices this year are not going to be the best bunch we've seen. I think Willie's best novice is going to be going up in trip. I think Kopek the board. I've heard things, and I've been told a couple of stories from people who know the owners quite well that he's going to be their Turner's horse this year, which tells me with the new line being purchased, it's quite common sense sometimes. The new line being purchased by JP, he's going to want to have at least one runner in the Supreme, which opens up the door for Kel Histoire and K Doughty to possibly run there as well. And I think Kel Histoire just takes this race. I was impressed with his attitude and the way he put his head down at Cork, and obviously very novicey, very green. But I love to see them learning quick on the job, and that's what I think he did. And I think three is a fair price to find out if he's good enough to beat this field. I've I'm very honest and I'm very open when I'm against a horse, as much as I am, and not because I'm being rude or slating a horse, but all the people that are on the Salvador Mundi hype train, I think, are really, really in the wrong direction this year. I cannot have a horse that wins by any distance in Tipperary in May. We won by something like 62 lengths, and it was actually slower or slightly quicker. I think it was slower than the time that the Mayor's Handicap Hurdle ran on the same card that day. And if you're telling me that Supreme Novice's winning form, then you need to find a new hobby. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be honest. He was well beaten in the Triumph, and a lot of people are coming out with the conclusion that he wasn't being tried in the Triumph. They just wanted to get a run into him just so they could keep him as a novice this year. I don't have a clue really what I'm on about in that respect, but I think it's a load of tosh. And I just don't think the horse is as good as people are hoping. And I think Kel Histoire is going to put him in his place. And I'd even be tempted to lay him a place in the race.
Well, before I go to Joe, I'm definitely going to sit on the fence in this race but I'll go back to your point, Scotty, and I will be with you there, especially Ballygunner Castle. Does he scream like Willie Munnins did with the nice guy? 2 miles, 2 miles.
Said it to you a couple of weeks ago, Jamie. They start them off at 2 miles. They get the run into him. They've got the speed. They step up and they go in that crawl in the Albert Bartlett, the tactical race. They press the button and they seem to do well.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there now. If he hadn't turned up in in Albert Bartlett, especially, and especially he won a 2 mile 3 furlong bumper at Limerick by 9 lengths. So yeah, definitely want to look out for. I will sit in the fence with Kellistor and Salvatore Monday because I don't know who's going to turn up. I presume both of them are, because one's owned by different people, both owned by different people. I leave it go, but Ballyconnor Castle, if he runs, I'll have my eye on him. Joe, Kellistor?
Yeah, all over Calistoire here. I just want to chuck my 10 pence in as well about Salvatore Mundi, really, at the same time, because the money, or should we say the bookies, have only just started cutting Salvatore Mundi now since he's had an entry. But you've got to think, right, he's been a hype horse effectively for a long time now. People have been chucking up slips left, right, and centre of 33 to 1, 25 to 1, 20 to 1, and so on. But he's held his price at a double figure price for a long time now. And I know a lot of people that have been having some sizable bets on this gelding at the same time. So when Mullins horses take a big drop in the market, it's generally because someone within Close Sutton or someone close to the yard is starting to get involved. But that hasn't really been the case. They've kept him at a decent price now for a long time. At the same time there, you've got people holding their hats onto this piece of Sergino form from 2 years ago. I mean, Sergino's taken off since then, and he's improved. We know that now by looking at his mark, and the RPRs that he's provided and things like that. So I'd be a little bit skeptical. I certainly wouldn't want to be taking 5-4 about him at this weekend just to find out if he's good enough. I just don't see the angle. You've got to be realistic at the same time. And he might come out here and bolt up. You don't know. But there's another sort of side to things as well. It's taken all the way until mid-January for us to see him. We haven't seen him all season. He's had plenty of chances to run. He could have run in the Royal Bond. There's been races at Christmas. I would assume there has to have been some sort of setback to not run Salvatore Mundi until this point in time. Now, again, I'm sure he's ready to run. Otherwise, they wouldn't have him out this weekend. But I think there's a lot of reasons why you could be skeptical about him. And I'm saying this from someone who has had a punt on him from a long time ago now, should we say, for the Supreme. But the fact he held his price in that market until very close to this weekend suggests to me that there hasn't been a ton of money down, really, in comparison to the amount of slips we're seeing posted here, there, and everywhere. So, You're getting 5-4 to find out if he can come back off this long layoff. Clearly had some sort of setback at the same time too. It's not one for me. But look, as you know, I'm a big fan of Calistoir. Have been for a long time now. His form, I keep mentioning this, his form in France, when you see the clips on Twitter, they're just showing you the finish and just seeing him finish with his burst of speed. But it doesn't tell the whole story, as I keep saying. If you go back and actually watch the entirety of that race, he was quite prominent for the most part. Coming around one of the bends about halfway through, he was shuffled back 3 or 4 places quite significantly, and it was a bad enough hamper that it would have thrown a lot of horses way out the back. They'd have pulled up, struggled from there on in. But he just stayed really nicely. Pretty decent ride actually from the jockey. Then come around the home bend, they did a big sweeping move on the outside, showing plenty of speed. And then he used his stamina and speed to finish really nicely too. You've got to have been taken by that. He's by Master Marvel, so we're expecting him to have speed and stamina at the same time. And then when he won last time out on his maiden hurdle, they went a really quick clip the whole way round, and he still managed to quicken off the back of it. So I think you have to look at him and say he's a very smart horse indeed. They're definitely going to run there, I'd say, as well, James. I think they have K Doty and Kopek the board perhaps going to the DRF. Just one more thing about Calistoir. He beat a horse called Kimi Demai when he ran in France. That mare went on and won her next 3 starts in superior fashion. She really did. She bolted up, and then Mullins has actually gone and purchased her as well, and she's pretty much ready for a run too. So I think there's a lot to like about Calistoir. I am ranting a bit, but I just want to get another couple of points in here. You can still get 20-1 about this gelding for the Supreme Calistoir. Now, we love a thing called recency bias in this game. Since then, we've seen K Doty win. We've seen Kopek the board win. They're the ones that have been shortening. But if you want to look at the bare form and the facts of what's happened from the French form even to the current date, Calistoir is the one to be on here. He's a very smart horse. I like him a lot, and I really want him to serve it up to Salvatore Mendy and stick his name in that Supreme hat this weekend.
Can I quickly throw a question out, Joe? Maybe not to anyone here, but to any of our viewers, because I've been thinking, and I've got a lot of back encyclopedia knowledge, and I couldn't think of the answer. The last horse to have ran in a Triumph hurdle or a novice hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival the previous season, and then has come back to win either the Ballymore, the Supreme, or the Albert Bartlett. I know Let's Dance won the Mares Novice in 2017.
Yeah,
she ran in the Triumph the year before, but one of the Open Free Championship Novice hurdles, I don't know if there is one that's done it. So Salvador Mendy's got to come back and do that this year.
He's got a lot of barriers to sort of get over, hasn't he, to win this? Like, sure. I for start, I don't know the answer to that, but yeah, I could rant about this race all day actually, but I'll leave it there. Calistoir for me.
No matter, Calistoir. We forgot at the start to review the weekend that has just gone. We go to 3 races from Nace, really the most informative of the whole weekend. I'll just put it to the panel here. Fun. Kieran, I see they're rattling your notes.
Thanks.
Fun. Would you consider her, in all seriousness, to be a contender for the Mayor's Chase after her performance on Sunday?
She was impressive on Sunday. Would I see her as a Mayor's Chase possibility? No, I wouldn't say. I think Cromwell's got a few better ones in his yard, if I'm honest. But no, she did well enough. The one I was on is definitely handicapper down the line, Majestic Force. Wherever she turns up when in handicap, she will certainly go close. She jumped horrendously, as did the other Dromedals, whose name escapes me right now.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Kieran, with that magnetic force. That I think she's better going right-handed on a bit of better ground the way she ran against Spindlebury Cork the last time. She's
Punches time.
Was a no, but
no, that's where I think handicap-wise, punches time.
Yeah, punches. That's what I was going to say to you. Yeah, punches down.
Ground.
There's a Mayor's. I think, is there a Mayor's handicap chase at Punchestown? There surely is one race, and it belongs to him. Even if she doesn't, even if it's not a Mayor's only handicap, I definitely.
Surely Scotty knows. Scotty's got
the encyclopedia here. Scotty, we'll go to you. Fun. Would she trouble any of the Gavin Cromwell mares at Cheltenham? And is she ground dependent, basically?
My first 2 points are going to be, I think she's very ground dependent. I think she needs softer heavy. If you get that on the Friday, sorry, it's changed now. The Mayor's Chase is it's still the Friday now, but they moved it forward. I think it is
before the Gold Cup, now, isn't it?
Before the Gold Cup.
The Gold Cup now, yeah.
Oh, on Sunday I went into back Langtree Lady. I got in there and I looked at fun, and I looked at the form on the ground and I just thought 7-2 is too good to turn down. So I backed Langtree Lady.
Oh, geez.
I'm just looking back. I mean, Bioluminescence and Only by Night for me have been the two most impressive mares this year over fences. And she was ahead of both of them in the Grade One at Fairyhouse over hurdles towards the end of last year. Jade DeGruchy won that race. Um, Obviously, hurdles form and improvement for fences is not something that always kind of ties in, so to speak, from previous form. I think Bioluminescence has been the best mare we've seen this year over fences so far, potentially. But I think fun. If she gets her ground, Jamie, I'm starting to wonder her. I think she could be a big danger. I am on the boot Bioluminescence kind of camp, and I've backed her already for the Mare's Chase. But I will be having a saver on fun. I think she could be good over fences.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you here, Scotty. She impressed me big time. And I think if it does rain on Gold Cup Day and the way Limerick Lace and Dino Blue went up that hill last year in the race, she definitely have a chance on soft ground. And as you said, she was ahead of them in the Grade 1 novice at Fairyhouse. I think she's been forgotten about because of how dominant the Gavin Cromwell bears have been all year. So she's definitely a player anyway.
It would be a tough choice as well. I know Allegory Devassi's bounced back to form recently. I know she's very much a 1 in 5 kind of horse, but Paul Townend would have a tough decision. I know JJ Slevin's now the retained rider, but I still think Townend would have first choice. He wanted to ride that. So I think I think he'd pick fun to ride personally.
I think he'll pick fun as well, to be honest with you.
12-1.
The one stipulation there about the ride decisions, I'm not sure if you're aware, Fun was actually bred by Patrick Mullins himself.
Patrick,
Now, he'll get choice to ride it.
So one of his stipulations when he gave Fun to Munir and Suede for the racing career was that he gets to ride her when he wants to ride her. Also, when she finished her racing career, she goes back to Patrick Mullins as a broodmare. This is why Fun
because he had the older green colours and the white sides.
Correct.
Yeah, that's his colours. Yeah.
Yes, and this is why.
No, that would put me off for backing her at Cheltenham.
Definitely, this is my question. You see, and this is why JJ didn't ride.
Can we rewind that to 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's it. But that's
no, in all fairness, she has a chance.
But that's why JJ.
Go on ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not sure about her for Cheltenham. In fairness, she travelled well and she won very easily. That's fair to say. But you do have to question the form. Like Kieran said, Lantry Lady and Majestic Force didn't really show their best. Lantry Lady's definitely better than that. She's very lightly racer, so I'd give her the benefit of the doubt there. So she could have just looked better than possibly what she was. I'm not saying she was, but that it's something to take into the equation. But at the same time, it wasn't exactly her fault that her opposition underperformed. She travelled well for the most part as well. And the argument there, I suppose, is that she's a 7-year-old now, so she could be coming into her prime. This could be the season for fun. My worry is actually the trip. I know she just won at 2 mile 4, but she did get beat over 2 mile 4 over hurdles at Fairyhouse by Jade DeGruge, like Scotty said. Now, I'm not sure her form is actually going to work out as good as what it looks like at the moment because of what we've seen recently over 2 miles. Her 2 mile 4 form wasn't great. This was let down by the better horses in behind. Now, look, the 16-1 for Cheltenham may look okay. I've actually just had a look. You get 16s, which is a big price, to be fair. But she also jumped out to her right quite a lot the last day as well. It was quite smart of Patrick Mullins for once. So when he came around the home bend, he switched her all the way to the wide outside, so she couldn't jump any further to the right, or she'd have been jumping the barrier. So I'm just not totally sure the form's going to work out that well. But visually, she did tick a lot of the boxes. She jumped well. She did jump out to her right, but she was never coming down at any fence at the same time, So I'd be on the fence of her at the moment. Excuse the analogy there, but I'm not totally sure her form's going to be good enough to beat the likes of Bioluminescence at this point in time, anyway.
Yeah, I was with Magnetic Force. I was very disappointed that it let down the form, but it didn't jump well enough. Because I really think now, Scotty, exactly when you think about it now, fun Patrick, I think because he wasn't Spindleberry second to Jade DeGruge at Fairyhouse. Yeah, she's been forgotten about. And I think that could be Townend's right in the race, Spindleberry, and I still wouldn't put her in there. I'm still have her in the back of my head to take on the Cromwell horses, and especially with the form of that novice hurdle last year at Fairyhouse, the Grade 1.
Well, there you go, isn't it? That even lines up better than fun itself too, doesn't it? And you mentioned Spindleberry a lot, so
yeah, I really like Spindleberry. Yeah, so
interesting.
Hopefully Townend will be on Spindleberry. Right, we'll move on to we can put a not being cocky or pig-headed or big-headed, we can say, all of us here, that we said 2 miles in Atlantique, put him out in front, and away you go. He never saw another rival. He was very impressive. The only thing is, he has big Marsra, and he has Sergino to deal with in an Arkle. Will he be? Does he have any chance in an Arkle? Joe, you're nodding your head at me. You can go first. Would he get anywhere near Marsborough or Sergino? Me, no, personally, but you might have something else to add.
I still got a bit of optimism about him that he can get close, Jamie. Like you said, it's nice to get these sort of things right when you sort of think outside the box and it comes off. We get plenty wrong as well, so it's not anything to
Of course.
think about as such, you know. But we've been saying for a long time, as soon as he gets 2 miles over fences and they just let him bowl along and stop fighting him being so keen, then he's just going to be much better. It's sort of similar to an Ergamine over 2 miles, isn't it? I know it's easy to pin that down to him with the same colours and things, but that's not the case. It's simply the fact that the soft ground over 2 miles is ideal for him if you just let him go along and do his own thing. Now, we said at the weekend, like he was a good thing here, like over 2 miles. He finally got his ground, he finally got his trip. We weren't going to sort of go against him. And then a lot of people on Twitter were saying, well, he won over 2 mile forwards on his first start. And yes, he did, but he didn't really beat much that day, to be honest with you. And if you want to back him over that extended trip, perhaps first time out was the time to catch him. Now, he dropped back to 2 miles here. I was a little bit worried in the early stages, I will say, because they went a bit of a crawl, which meant he was obviously being pulled back a little bit again, looking a little bit keen. But Townham was really smart. Halfway round, he increased the tempo, which enabled him just to loosen the bit on Il Atlantique. And not only did he travel better, but he jumped better. He had more exuberance about him. They've just got to let him go about and do his business. Now, he's by a horse called Coastal Path, who is also the side to the likes of Asterion Forlonge, Nutter, Bacardi's, Nutter. You've just got to let these sort of horses go about their business and do what they want to do. Now, if you want to look forward to the Arkle, they're probably going to go a decent clip. They're not going to go slow in there with Majborough, Sergino, Loda Sud in the race. So if they just let Il Atlantique go, I am quite keen on the fact that he is well worth his chance in that race and won't be too far away. I would not be saying he's going to beat Sergino or Majborough at this point for sure, but the quicker they go for it, the better. They're going to have soft ground, let him go, bowl along, and it is going to be a case that 1 or 2 of them will pick him up in the closing stages, but he's not going to be far away, James. He's a very good horse. People just have given him a lot of grief because of obviously his hurdles form, saying he's weak and all of that, Judge, you know?
8-1, top price, 6-5 there. Betfair and all 8-1. Would interest you each way?
I mean, I am one of these punters that is quite happy to back each way for Cheltenham. I know a lot of people don't. I've got no issue with it at all, especially if we say this is going to be on the first day of Cheltenham. If you can have yourself a decent punt each way at 8-1, get your money back plus a little bit extra, I'm quite happy to reinvest that extra part. And I think he's a really solid option now. Look, it's going to be a really good race, but I think he's well entitled to be there, Jamie. It's easy to say Gino and Majborough are the 1-2, and they probably are. They probably are. But I'll tell you what, he's coming good with experience, this Gowden. He really is.
Kieran, what did you think of his performance, and does he have any chance to Cheltenham?
I thought he was very, very impressive, and hinting what Joe said, he took the Energamine knowledge straight out of my mouth. That's what I was going to say. Look, I know it's the same colours and everything, but the way he came up the straight, he definitely gave me Energamine vibes. He just drove him into the grind, didn't he? The rest of them in the pocket who I was on was punch drunk coming over the last. I don't know if he's bounced after the long layoff and one run, but yeah, he's very, very good. In regards to the Arkle, I think he needs soft ground to probably blunt Madge and Gino's pace, but he's definitely in there with his chance. I think he's, sorry to say this, Scott, he's better than Lud the Third, but he's probably third in the pecking order, I say. Soft ground, we've got to see Madge again, haven't we, before we can make full assessment. And Gino's got to jump fences for the second time as well. He's only jumped them once. So I wouldn't be taking 8-11 like something that's jumped the fence once, but that's just me.
Lovely. Scotty, what do you think?
I wasn't as overly impressed as you guys.
Scotty.
It's always fun.
As well, I'm going to put my 10-cent pence for Scotty. I wasn't that much impressed with him either, to be honest. But he did the job done, and I was happy that we got what we said he'd do. But I don't need to get anywhere near Gino or Big Measure. Go on, Scotty, sorry.
I'm a big believer in you catch horses on a day you catch them. And I think that was the day where we get paid. you forget about him for the rest of the season, kind of thing. Especially the run up to Cheltenham. I just have this doubt whether he's a top class horse. I think he's going to be a good Grade 2 kind of horse, that level. He could he could run well in the Grade 1, but Joe and Kieran is saying Energumen vibes. I'm getting Dice like Dynamo kind of vibes where
Oh no, come on, no, he's better than Dice
Wow.
Dynamo.
but on a serious note, I think the form
Poor old dice up.
I think his form isn't as good as people are kind of making out. I think his first win up at Navan, Waterford Whispers and Goodland, they all ran at Limerick. And okay, we all know Waterford Whispers is running for a handicap mark, but I'm kind of not happy at Atlantique won because the collateral form of Waterford Whispers, the English handicap will probably put him up about £3 just for that
Yeah,
alone.
that's true, that's true.
And the rest.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
rest, and a bit 7 more.
All the tax money, all that going on it, but
Better
I
they had
just think,
second in the Grade 1. Oh.
Oh yeah, of course.
to
Yeah.
be honest with you guys, what Kieran said, I was thinking about the race today because it was such a long layoff. Was it the bounce factor for in the pocket? I just think he seemed to be very leaning during the race. Whether he had whether there's physical issues still there within the pocket, he was way too keen and he seemed to be hanging to. I think it was to the left as we were looking. He just couldn't jump straight. Firefox, just needs better ground. He just doesn't go on the soft to heavy. I think 2 miles, a good gallop over better ground, you'll see a different horse. I think he had it easy there at Atlantique, and I don't think he had as much in hand as people thought there in that race. I think when it comes to the likes of Madgeborough, the Serginos at Cheltenham, even the Low de Suds, I think he'll beat him in a match bet at Cheltenham. I think Il Atlantique will make the running, but I think Madgeborough will be alongside Sergino, and he'll be the one that will set it up potentially for Madgeborough, and then they'll find out how good Sergino is. But I'm going to leave Il Atlantique alone now. Sorry.
Well, I'm so surprised at that, guys. I really am. I thought you'd sort of enjoy the fact, that it'll probably get soft ground at Cheltenham, won't we? But not going to be good to.
I just don't. I
It's
think he will,
the first
but
chase ran in the day, Joe. It's not that soft always. That's just always me. That's just me.
sometimes you just have to accept the fact when you've latched onto a horse, if you don't believe their top draw, I just have to accept it, and I just don't think he's quite Grade 1 level.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll take a match bet with you though, Scott. Le de Sud versus Il Atlantique. If they line up, we'll buy each other dinner, one either way or the other. Then we'll go with that.
At the what's
The Hungry Horse.
the horse it called the one at Cheltenham?
The Hungry
Hungry
Horse.
No. Just keep Joe happy, Scotty, and get him a bloody Nando's.
Oh yeah, anything.
Right, we'll move on to the Grade 1 Lauders of Novice Novice hurdle over 2.5 miles. We're going to start with Mr. Rutherham. The Yellow Clay. Where are you on? Did you have a little saver on him? Where is he going to go? Is he a Turner's horse? Is he any chance against the New Line? Or is he an Albert Bartlett horse, which the whole of the world thinks he's an Albert Bartlett horse?
First of all, I've been going on about this horse for a year and a half, and I didn't back him, and I was in a very, very emotional, bad state of mind after backing Jasmine DeVoe. So listen to all of the viewers out there. Lesson is, don't go against the horse you followed, who is still unbeaten over obstacles. Just bloody stick with him, whatever price he is, against any hype horse. He just travelled like the best horse in the race all the way. He was the winner from a mile out. You could see it. Super Sunday, the money came for him. He ran an okay race, but the Yellow Clay was always the most likely winner. And I was disappointed with Butch Cassidy. I think it was quite well publicised that he was beaten after jumping a couple of hurdles. He just didn't run any race at all, whether it was the ground. But to be beaten that far out, it couldn't have been the ground. There must have been something else wrong there. Jasmine DeVoe can't jump. He's never going to win a race over jumps unless he's running in that race that Salvador Mundy ran in May in Tipperary. But I don't think he'll still be a maiden then. Wingmen, we mentioned he's very interesting for a handicap, a Martin Pipe, but he needs 2 more runs. I don't think he's going to get them. I flip-flop with Wingmen and the Yellow Clay. I thought the Yellow Clay would be the Pipe horse this year and Wingmen would be the Albert Bartlett horse. But no, going back to the Yellow Clay, Jamie, he shouldn't be running in the Turners. He should be in the Albert Bartlett, I think. I think that's the race for him. I think he's going to be done for speed when it comes to the likes of Potter's Charm and the New Lion. Kopek to board, if he turns up there, I think he'll struggle to beat those horses. I might be wrong, but I just think if they go this race, the Turners, I think they're making a mistake. I think he'd be one of the bankers of the meeting for me in the Albert Bartlett, and that's even against a big Westerner who I love. So does Joe. So yeah, I'm hoping they step him up to 3 miles, but I don't think they will.
What do you think of Jasmine DeVoe? Where will go? And the other one, the massive gamble that the horse Joe tipped, Super Sunday. What do you think of those two, Scotty, going forward?
Going forward, I think Jasmine DeVoe. Willie said before the race he's had so much intense schooling and he suffered what's called a reach what do you call it?
Overreach.
Overreach, that's the word. I don't even know what that is, but it's obviously not good.
Floor it at the screen.
I don't know where I'd go with Jasmine DeVoe. I mean, what would you do? I mean, try and just get a bit of experience and maybe target like a big field handicap to maybe settle him, get a nice run pace, and if he jumps better, he could maybe win a nice pot down the line. I really haven't got a clue with him. I think it's a lot of work in progress there. Super Sunday, I don't know how many runs he's had now. How many runs has Super Sunday?
He's had 3 runs. See, that's why I don't understand, right? Sorry, no. He's had 3 runs, right? So he's running in the Supreme, didn't he? He ran at Ballon Robe and he's won it Nice. And then he's had 2 runs over hurdles in France. So does that count as 5 and he's still as a novice?
Yeah, because he could still run in the Supreme or the Turners and stuff if he wanted to for us.
So he's had 5 runs for handicap.
He's handicapped now.
He's handicapped now. So
He's
he's
handicapped now,
1-4-2. I think that's a bit much because he's going to get more UK tax on it. But where's he going to be? I think now, will he put him in the Coral Cup or is he going to go into county? I think he's going into county, to be honest with you.
I don't think he'll go in the county because I think he's got something up his sleeve for that, potentially.
Or will he Kitzbühel, or will he, but Kitzbühel needs runs, doesn't it? I might be wrong. But Super Sunday is handicapped now. But will they give it like 1-4-2? 1-4, what do they give? 1-4-5, 1-4-6? Does he have room in his mark to be a mid 150s horse? That's my thing. But he did run very well for a horse that didn't run since Battle Road in the summer, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah, you get good horses as well that go in the Coral Cup who win and progress to be graded horses. The likes of Super Sunday won the Coral Cup. The old Super Sunday won the Coral Cup. He won champion hurdles in Ireland. The likes of Fast or Slow was just touched up in the Coral Cup, and look what he's done since. Super Sunday could develop into that kind of chaser down the line for Willie. I'd be tempted to run him in a Coral Cup. I don't think the county hurdle. I don't think he's quite quick enough for a county hurdle myself.
Fair enough. To me, yeah, I definitely have an eye on him for a handicap. Super Sunday, and Jasmine DeVoe needs to go 3 miles to get him to jump and settle, and he'll just stay on and on and on. And look, I'm not going to give up on him, but I probably backed him for the wrong race. But anyway, Joe, what did you think? You're happy with Super Sunday? You put him up at a decent price. Yellow Clay, Albert Bartlett. Sorry, before I start, if I'm with Scotty here, if the Yellow Clay runs the Albert Bartlett, it's an absolute banker. I don't give him any chance in the Turners, but he probably will be placed. Joe, Super Sunday, good. Jasmine DeVoe, disappointing. Yellow Clay, Turners or Bartlett?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I'm on side with the Yellow Clay. I feel ashamed at myself that I've knocked him for so many runs, but to me, he proved his worth this time. I know he had a few disappointing in behind, but he did get better the further he went on. Now, I think he could go well in the Turners or the Bartlett personally, but the fact that Gordo seems to say this is a horse that's got plenty of speed does suggest to me that they're going to stick with the Turners route regardless of what we think. So I think he'll go down that route. And the 10-1 is probably a decent price, to be honest, if you think he's going to run there. I don't think the new line justifies his 3-1 price tag for what he's done so far. But I was really impressed with the Yellow Clay. He jumps nicely as well. He just looks like a really professional horse. He's got the experience in the book. I'd be quite tempted to have a little bit of money on him actually for the Turners hurdle now. Yeah, Wingmen for me is their their Bartlett horse. Sorry, I think he is the Bartlett horse. I think finishing behind the Yellow Clay there means he's got to go up to the Bartlett. I don't think there's enough time for him to get the 2 runs in before Cheltenham and then run a big race in the Pipe. And I think the horse that they've got for the Pipe is actually the enabler for Gigginstown, who finished behind Jasmine DeVoe. Wherever they ran on their debut. Was that Leopardstown?
Navan, was it?
Navan.
It was Navan, yeah. Well done, yeah. It was Navan. So I think the Enabler is Gordo's horse for the Pipe. Wingmen is their horse for the Bartlett. The Yellow Clay is their horse for the Turners. Yeah, look, Jamie, I was really impressed with Super Sunday. Like you said, I took a nice big price on him and he was smashed in. So you sort of start counting your money then, don't you? He was never going to beat the Yellow Clay, but he certainly ran his race. What would I do with him now? I have no idea, to be honest with you. I have no idea. I just fancied him for the Lawlers. But like you, Jasmine DeVoe, get him up in trip now. Still get him out in front, though, Get him in the Bartlett, but get him out in front and make sure that he's I wouldn't want him to be going too slow at his hurdles. You don't want him to have too much time to think. That might even be where he's going wrong. He's not the most professional. But even when he won his bumper, we were saying he looks like a pure stayer, doesn't he, at the time? And it would probably do better for further. So perhaps I'd chance him going to the Bartlett. But I'm like you, James. I wouldn't give up on him yet. We know he's got a massive engine. He's just got to improve that jumping a little bit. But yeah, my biggest take is that the yellow clay is going to go to the Turners now, and the 10-1's a decent price.
Do you know what I think you'll see doing with Jasmine DeVoe? It might be too early to write it off. He might go something like the Ascot Gold Cup or one of those big handicaps that Vauban used to run in, like a long-term kind of target on the flat. This is Zarovich. He might all those targets in the summer. I reckon that's what you'll do with him.
Interesting shout. It's an interesting
shout there, yeah. Kieran, what do you think of the race? Yellow Clay, Super Sunday, Jasmine DeVoe, what would you do with all of them?
The yellow clay. Now, I said on my preview that he was the benchmark that Jasmine DeVoe and all that had to get to, and obviously they didn't get to him. He was very impressive. I think he's all stamina though. I think he's a Bartlett horse as well. I'm agreeing with you guys. I don't think he's a Turner's horse as much as Gordo says he is. I think he's all stamina. I think in that ground, the way he pulled away after the last, he's not quickening, is he? The rest are going slower, and he's just pulling away that more than he's quickening away from them. So I would have him in the Albert Bartlett. Not sure what you do with Wingman now. He was one of my horses to follow at the start of the season, but I'm not sure. Like you said, he needs 2 more runs. The DRF is obviously one that he can run there, but then he needs to find another one somewhere. It's a bit of a hit or miss or where he ends up. And Super Sunday, now you said he's got the 5 runs. Maybe the county is the option. Mm-hmm. Although I think Willie has another one that I flagged up on Joe's tweet earlier on that has caught my eye for the county, and that's Ethical Diamond. Willie Mullins. Had 4 runs, run over Christmas. We'll probably go to the DRF and a handicap, finish down the field again, and then rock up in the county. Bit like absurd.
I backed Ethical Diamond that day, the last time she ran, and I was just thinking, you either get one of these ones or you wait till the county hurdle. Like you said, absurd. You watch the run at the DRF if she goes there in that 2-mile handicap. Even midfield. I think Absurd ran against Ballyburn, though, didn't he? At the DRF.
He did, in the grade 1.
Yeah.
Jasmine DeVoe, Kieran, what would you do? Would you up him up and trip to the Bartlett?
Their only option really is the Bartlett, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's a bit slower. He's just got to jump, hasn't he? There's definitely an engine there because he's not stopping, but he's kicking every hurdle out the ground as he goes around. He can't win races like that.
True.
Extra schooling without getting injured, overreaching.
Get him scored over fences just to make sure he doesn't run through his hurdle.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's true. Right. We're towards the end of the show here. We're going to quickly go through all the entries were out, the final entries before the declarations of 3 championship races at the Cheltenham Festival, the Champion Chase, the Ryanair, and the Gold Cup, which is only an entry of 19 runners with 5 UK trained. Something has to be done about this, but we won't go into that today. Right, the Champion Chase, lads, with all the entries, obviously the shock. Well, it's not really a shock entry of LA Francais, Fabiola's in there and all that, and Ergamoon Gaelic Wire jump on. Kieran, we'll stick with you. Who at the present moment of time, at 9-4, John Bond, Gaelic Wire 92, and Ergamoon 5-1, Fabiola 12-61, LA Francais 20-1, Marine Nationale. Who would you be in the camp with at this present moment in time?
Personally, it depends, I think, on what ground we get on the Wednesday. If it's good ground, I think John Bond will beat them. If it's soft or anywhere close to heavy, which we've had the last couple of years, and Ergamoon's again going to go from the front, isn't he, and make it a test from all. I wouldn't write off Captain Guinness. I'm not quite sure what price he is now. He's about 50-1. Yes, Scotty, I can see that look over there from you. I can see. But he was second to an Ergamoon.
50-1, exactly.
Yeah. Second to an Ergamoon 2 years ago. Second to an Ergamoon 2 years ago, beating.
He's 50-1, Joe. Yeah,
that is huge. That is huge.
Yeah,
I know he's not been right. Sorry, I'm not cutting. Well, I am cutting off, but not intentionally. But that is a huge price, 50-1.
That's what I thought. I looked at it earlier. I thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. For the reigning champion, he's not run no race the first 2 races of the season this season, but he didn't last year.
I was
He's
going to say,
50 to
He didn't
1.
run much last year at the start of the season and turns up at Cheltenham and turns it on.
He's
So
50 to 1 on Sky Bet, yeah.
crazy price.
50 to 1.
For a
Each way,
champion
all the way.
chaser, 50 to 1, huh? That's massive.
I bet.
So you're basically, Kieran, you're on the Energumene camp if it's soft, and it's John Bon if it's good ground. Perfect. Scotty?
I'm with KC actually with an argument. I just can't get out of my head that he's just not going to be a bad horse after. He wasn't injured for as long as everybody says. We mentioned it on previous shows. I think they just took their time to get him back. I don't think he's had a major setback. I still think we'll obviously know more after him and John Bon clash in the Clarence house. My money would be on an Ergerman to win in that race. Yeah, I haven't backed an Ergerman, but I do think he'll win the champion chase if he gets the ground again, like Kieran said. But I've also backed one at a big price who, if he gets the similar type of ground, and that's Solness. I've already had a few quid at a massive price. I don't think there's anything wrong if you're going to back Captain Guinness at 50s. Why not chuck a few quid at Solness at 55s, who's battered him a few times already? So it's just another year for Captain Guinness on the clock. I know he's overpriced, but I think it's a value loser. I think it's a year too far. If Gaelic Warrior, John Bon, and Nergaman, even Solness, I think they'd all finish ahead of Captain Guinness this year. But yeah, I'm just a bit wary about writing John Bon off. I think it could be with the race of the festival if they all line up potentially. But yeah, I just favour an Ergumin at the moment. But again, a lot of the bet would probably come down to what the ground's doing on the day. But like I said, I've just chucked a few quid at a big price at Solness just to get him in the book because I think he'll go off a bit shorter.
What do you both think of like LA France A, by the way? I knew, Jay. I'm just
No chance. I was going to say, I was going to bring up in
Oh.
this part of the show was I remember years ago, I'm talking about 10, 11 years ago, there was a horse that ran in the Denman Chase trained by Tom George over 3 miles called Mail de Biivre. He was a French bred horse and he went like the absolute clappers. And I think he was leading for about 2 miles, 2 furlongs of the race and just fell into a hole. And they dropped him back to the champion chase, the Sprinter Sacre beat sides in Europe. I just think Ile Francais is kind of like an afterthought. I think he needs good ground. He needs to go right-handed. He may be okay left-handed, but I just wouldn't touch him in this race whatsoever. I think it just screams Ryanair or no race for me. That's it.
I was going to say, just to pinpoint for anyone who doesn't know us listening, he's got entries in the Champion Chase, the Ryanair, and the Gold Cup.
And the Gold Cup.
Yeah. I mean, just see what Kieran's thoughts are there as well, quickly, James. Well, just
he's not going to get an easy lead like he did in the King George, is he? Let's be honest. There's an Ergobine you've got. There's lunatics in this race that are going to want to go from the front. Is it Matata, the thing of twisting Davis as an absolute loony or just fly off for 6 furlongs? Yeah, he's not going to get his own way in front, Ilete Francais, not in a hope in hell. And he'll cry wolf and coming down the hill, he'll be pulled up probably at the top of the hill.
Whoa.
Where do you reckon he runs? And you, James, does he go
Ryanair?
His best hope, isn't it, really?
Ryanair. He's not quick enough to win a championship.
Will he handle the undulations of Cheltenham as well?
Of course, yeah. Ty has undulations as well. I don't know if people are on about there. No, it's not. Okay. Obviously, it's not as dramatic as Cheltenham. We all know that. But come on, it's gift. No, he's Ryanair horse. But anyway, before I go on to Joe, I agree with Kieran that the better the ground, I always say John Bon will win, but I hope it absolutely pours rain. It absolutely is unhardly raceable. Let an Ergamine set it up for the winner. I've told you all year, and on soft ground over 2 miles at Cheltenham, nothing beats Gaelic Warrior. I'm sorry, I'm sticking to him. But if it comes up good like the day of Sodness in the Leopardstown, I'd be very worried. Then John Bon will win. But if it's soft ground at Cheltenham, not a big Gaelic Warrior. He's still the most talented horse out of all of them. Joe.
Yeah, no real surprise entries, I guess, here, James, apart from maybe Calais de Burley. What are they doing chucking him in here? He's a novice, isn't he? But I've come down on this year it being for John Bon. I've never really not been a fan of him. I think he's a lovely horse, but as far as a punting perspective goes, I've never been one to chuck him in my doubles and get involved with him at Cheltenham. But I just think now's his time. I was of the impression that, similar to Kieran, anything near good ground, which it won't be, I'd be with John Bon, and anything soft, I'd be with Gaelic Warrior. But I think John Bon murders these this time round. I do, even with my boy Marie National in there, who is improving, by the way. He improved the last day, but he's not going to get this brownies
There it
anyway.
is.
He did. No, but he did. He jumped better. He's more comfortable. He's becoming
There it
easy to
is.
train. He's got place chances. But in all seriousness, like I said, I also, and I got a lot of stick from this on Twitter, a lot of stick. I don't think Gaelic Warrior is as good as we think he is. Now that form last year at Cheltenham, in his article, he beat Ilite Tom and Firefox.
Are you doing this on purpose or what?
No,
No,
no.
he's obviously always going. It's not against me at all. He said it all year in fairness. Didn't he stick
Yeah.
to his guns? Or I'm sticking to
But
my guns.
you
Not in the
gotta-
big Gaelic Warrior.
this is
No, I mean in regards he's missing somebody out the article just for the sake of it.
Very good,
He
Kieran.
knows exactly
I
what I'm
really
talking
like
about.
that though. Oh
You-
yeah, very good.
But look, you've got to say it how you see it. And he may have looked
Well,
impressive
of
on the
course.
day, but the form could have just completely fell apart. Like Ilite Tom clearly doesn't handle Cheltenham, and he got a really good ride Gaelic Warrior. And we've still got to assume that he's going to handle the track again over fences. I just think he also got beat in a sprint by Ilite Tom at Punchtime. I know people are saying, "Oh, it's end of the season." I don't care. He got beat in a sprint by Ilite Tom. I think this year John Bond's the one that's more impressive. He's looked really good this year. He's in professional, jumping well, and it might turn into a sprint this year. He's not going to get it soft at the end like he did in the Arco. I've just got a feeling this year's we could be overcomplicating it, and John Bond takes it. But again, Jamie will tell me I'm talking nonsense, and that's completely fair enough. This is the game we play. But
Right.
there we go, John Bond for me. Yeah.
We'll move on with the Ryanair and we'll kind of coincide. The forgotten horse, and he's going to be back at the Dublin Racing Festival, is El Fabiolo. Is he going for the championship, or do you think he'll step up to the Ryanair, or we start the Ryanair? And Scotty's put his hand up first.
Oh no, I was saying up in trip. Sorry.
Yeah, up in
Right, we'll move on. We'll say so straight away. We'll come into it, whatever. Now, the favourite at the moment for the Ryanair Chase after the entries. And I'm going to let Joe go again last because I think he's talking absolute nonsense, by the way. With the 4-1 favourite of Factified at 4-1. 5-1 Banbridge. I don't think he'll run here, to be honest with you. Gaelic Wire, 7s won't run. Spillane Tower now into 8-1 best price. El Fabio 8s. LA France, of course, an entry is here at 10s. Energamy won't run. Grey Dawning might run here at 14s. Jello, fancy Scotties at 16s. Can we get a ban roll, please, for the 20-1 shot?
Oh, no, this is coming.
Good bogey. And then my horse is still 25-1 from last year. Protectorate to throw my 10 pence into the pot. Right, Scotty, because you did put your hand up first, and don't lie to me. Who you on here? So obviously, Jello, we put up in our Ante-Post challenge at 16-1. Surprise entries, well, I suppose it's not really. France, Fabiolo. If you had one horse to take on Jello with, which one would be at the current stage that we have for the Ryanair entries?
It would be your horse, Protectorate.
Mm-hmm.
It would be at the prices. Factor File's got no chance of running here. He goes to the Gold Cup. Forget him. Absolutely forget him. I will lay anyone any odds that he runs in the Gold Cup and not
I'm
here.
with you, Scotty. Like, go on, Scotty.
Message me on Twitter at Bad Boy Bowls if you want some odds. Come and message me. I will give you them.
Oh, no way. I love it.
Here he goes.
I think Long Press not being a
I get
Jamie.
the song now in a minute, Kieran.
I was going to say Long Press not being here in the entries is really strange.
Yeah, very
especially
strange. Yeah.
When they came out in the Racing Post and it was on the front page how they fancy the Ryanair tilt this year. That tells me one of two things: that my horse Jello is good. They want him for the race. He's the number one, or the owner Andy Edwards. I don't know the man, but I just have the impression he wants a Gold Cup horse, and he's changed his mind pretty quickly about the race. Or maybe there's not everything's not right with Long Press. I just don't know the answer to that to be sure. But I am still really convinced Jello is the best kind of value price horse at the Festival Ante-Post this year. He's definitely going to run here. And like I said, I think Protectorate, he beat him quite convincingly, but Protectorate has to go left-handed. That race up at Huntington, he beat him in. I wouldn't buy into that. That wasn't the Protectorate we know off level weights, getting his kind of run of the race like he did last year. He'll be ridden handy. He'll jump well. I think Jello will track him. And do you know what, Jamie? I wouldn't be surprised if they were the first two. Um, I do also give a chance at a price to Founder 50. I know his form has been crabbed in the Arkle. Joe's not a massive fan of his. I know that. But
kind of like the forgotten horse now, Scotty, isn't he? He found a 50 all of a sudden.
it's very much so. In his form earlier in the season, beating Pinkerton, the Galway Plate winner, over two, I think it was over 3.5 up at Down Royal. He needs further than 2 miles, and he's been dropped back and tripped the last couple of runs. He won one earlier in the season where he scampered home, and he was well beaten, obviously, at Christmas. But I think if they keep him fresh now and head into that Ryanair, I'd be very happy with the 3 I've backed, which is Jello. Found the 50, and I've had a small swing at a big odds on Grange Clare West, but he hasn't shown much spark in his last 2 runs on his previous novice chase form. But I'm convinced Jello's going to be a big player in this race. And to answer your question again, I think Protectorat is probably the wise man's horse each way still this year. I think he's got another big run in him.
Lovely. Kieran?
I've already got one up from my Ante-Post pre-selection on this, and it is Find a 50, my beloved Find a 50, who Joe decided to leave out the Arkle. I know Scotty, as he's talking there, likes him as well. 25 to 1.
I didn't know if you noticed or not.
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah, 25 to 1 currently. Needs a trip, needs 2.5 miles. I completely echo what Scotty says. Beat Pinkerton first time out at Down Royal, then went to Navan, I think it was, where he scrummed home, beating Solness, who's since come out and franked the form. Obviously, found if he was in that race and pulled up in the end, he just didn't go 2 miles, did he? Up in trip, back round Cheltenham, which he was decent, wasn't he, in the Arkle? Obviously, had my hopes going at 50 to 1, there we go, but then obviously Gaelic Warrior came along with the blinkers on for the first time. We didn't mention that. They'll probably be on when he comes back to Cheltenham as well, Gaelic Warrior, when he comes back in the champion chase. But yeah, back to Found, all in for that. You can pick holes in the ones at the top of the market. Like you said, Factor File's going to go up to the Gold Cup because Spillane Tower's been entered here and not in the Gold Cup. So guaranteed JP's going to want, I know he's got the others for the Gold Cup as well, the national types that will run there, but he'll want something that's fancied. So Factor File will go there. Banbridge is grind dependent. We all know that. El Fabiola hasn't been seen yet, but will likely turn up here, I would have thought. Then I said Spillane's Tower, and you can make holes and everything. I actually seen on another preview somewhere that somebody did put up your beloved Jungle Boogie J as an Ante-Post selection, unbelievably. But yeah, it's an open race, very open race. Obviously, you got Envoy Allen in there as well, who's won it previously, and Protectorat. But I'm with Find a 50, and that is that.
Lovely. I'm with Scotty actually here as well with the Protector. I'm going to have to go back into the straight, but I did back him at 25 to 1 after the race against Jello and the Peterborough Chase. Very foolish mistake by the owner, I think. Look, I don't own the horse. I don't pay the bills. Benicia Williams don't train my horse, but he can do what he wants. But I think it's a foolish mistake because I think he had a right chance to win a Ryanair and win another great. I know he won a Browns before Lampress, but he's absolutely no chance on the Gold Cup. He should be in the Ryanair. The other two, exactly, Factified won't go in my book. Banbridge, Brown Dependent. Spillane's Tower, is he good enough in my book? Do you know what I mean? El Fabiola, who haven't seen. So, I mean, like, you have sentimental value with Jungle Boogie coming back. If he does come back from a Gold Cup, he travelled really well if you watched the Gold Cup back last year. And he jumped really well at Ascot, even jumping left, so he'd be better left-handed. So I wouldn't put you in it. But he is, now 11-year-old, trying to win a Ryanair, which wouldn't scream Grade 1 winner to me, which you never know, because he's so lightly raced. But LA France said 10 to 1 if he ran. If he did run against Protectorat, if he does get a soft lead in the Ryanair, I can't see anything beating him. And I don't care about undulations and all that. I think his class will get him through. This right-handed, left-handed stuff. Otai, he's been running all of his careers left-handed. He's won at Otai. So, like, 10 to 1 is massive. It's up to you if you want to take a punt on him. He might not even turn up at Cheltenham, but at the moment, at the state of play, I'd be LA France and my old favourite Protectorate at the moment. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I got a bit of a wild take here, but and I made a few funny calls in today's episode, so I may get a little bit of stick, but bring it on. That's totally fine. I got a feeling Spillane's Tower is going to skip Cheltenham. I really believe that he's actually going to be saved and go to Punchestown right-handed. I think what we saw from him at the John Durkan was the best of what we're going to get out of Spillane's Tower. I don't think he can necessarily do the same thing left-handed. I just prefer him going that way. Now, for me, Factor File is far too keen to go and win a Gold Cup. Certainly this year. He can't seem to just drop the bit. He's keen all of the way round, and you're never going to close the gap on Galopin Deschamps if you're as keen as he is there. Even if you go into the interview after the last day, Willie Mullins said, he's pretty much not going to close the gap. Certainly not this year on Galopin Deschamps. So for me, I think he's going to be dropped back here to 2 mile 5. I think he'll run a good race, if not win the Ryanair. I then think they'll go up to the King George next season in November and then step him up to the Gold Cup in March for 2026. I just think he's far too keen to go and win a Gold Cup. I wouldn't give him a chance in hell. Now, there's an interesting angle here, right? If you sort of think about it as well, because if he ran in the Gold Cup, I think there's one horse that beats him, and that's Galopin Deschamps. If you go in the Ryanair, although I think he could still win it, he is almost susceptible to getting beat by more horses. Does that make sense? Just because of the way it's ran, I think whatever happens in the Gold Cup, he'd finish second.
Right.
Go
I
on.
understand what you're saying, and then I'll let you go. He has to run the Gold Cup, Joe, because JP's only horse then will be Corbett's Cross. Corbett Cross hasn't got a Scooby-Doo, and I hope in hell of winning a Gold Cup, and he might not even run. So that's where we're coming from. What really put me off was I know the way you're thinking in the Gold Cup now.
Yeah, that's true. I get that.
Do you know what I mean?
And of course,
but go ahead. Sorry.
And of course, Spillan's in the Ryanair only, isn't he? But again, I don't think he's going to be here. I think I'm convinced.
We overcomplicating things.
Possibly, yeah. And again, there's something a little bit shrewd about it. We only back our own selections, but there's two. I spoke to you about this off air as well, lads. There's two very well-known punters in the game that have tipped Factor File for the Ryanair, and I'm not going to drop the names. These two individuals also know connections very well, and these are also two punters that wouldn't necessarily put up a horse for a race if they were unsure about it going for a certain target. They're not that sort of punter. So there's that just sort of adding to the element of confidence where I think he's far too keen. Mullen said it's unlikely that he's going to bridge the gap with Galopin as well. So I just got a feeling he's going to run in the Ryanair and then go to the to the Gold Cup next season. Just the way I see it. Perhaps if you're going to back Factor File, look at the non-runner no bet market. Same with Spillan's Tower if you fancy him, back him with the non-runner no bet market, and possibly the same with Ile France A2, whichever one you fancy. Non-runner no bet's probably the way to go here. But no, I'm pretty keen on him being dropped back here for the Ryanair. I think it's his trip. He is actually unproven, really, going past 3 miles. I know he stayed well, obviously, the last day at Leopardstown, but I think he's far too keen to go do the same thing and get any closer at Cheltenham.
Perfect.
I think you're all going to be in for a shock when he sends Gaelic Warrior up to the Ryanair and the Energumens is number 1 for the Champion Chase.
Not a chance.
Not a chance on that one.
But anyway, finally, we'll go on to the blue ribbon event of the whole year. The race that everyone wants to see is the Cheltenham Gold Cup. 19 only entered. Honestly, this should be quick enough. Galopin is 11 to 10. Factor File 4s 14 to 1 Jerry Colomb, and to be honest with you, I couldn't care less about the rest. Galopin and Factor File, it's a match for me. Jerry Colomb hasn't been seen since Darroy, which would put you off. Now he's talking about he's going to the Winter Millions. Would you give him a chance to play anybody? And as anyone has a wild stab at anything to finish third, basically. So, Kieran, you're nodding first. I could see you at the corner of my eye. I'll let you have the floor. Who wins the race, and who have you had a stab on each way?
So, Galopin wins the race. Factor File comes here, and I know Joe said about the keenness and everything like that, but he hasn't tried to take Galopin on in a sense yet. I think Mark Walsh has been told, no, let's not take him on just yet because they don't want to get their throats cut.
100%.
I think if they get to the top of the hill, I think Mark Walsh might say, right, let's have a go then. And let's see what we got here coming up the hill the other side, and might let him go, and we might have a decent race. Galopin will still beat him. I'm still on Galopin's side in that matter, but I think it'll be more of a race than everybody thinks it's going to be. It's not just going to be a Galopin procession. The one, if you wanted one price for third place, because we haven't seen Jerry Colomb, 100 to 1. There you go.
Whoa.
Scotty mentioned him earlier.
Grange Clare West.
Grange Clare West.
Ooh.
And the reason I say this, he's ran twice this year behind Galopin, both in the Durkin and at Leopardstown. and it's what's been good ground, good to soft ground at best in both races, hasn't it? If I remember rightly, what was the ground at Leopardstown? Just gone.
It was good. It was good. It was good.
Yeah,
really.
good ground. Yeah,
it was good. Yeah.
If you go back to his win last December on softer heavy ground, I think he ran the day after galloping over the same course and distance. He was only he beat, I can't remember, he beat Corbett's Cross, I think.
Yeah.
By 23 lengths. He was only not a times man, and it's different days, but he's only 2 seconds slower than what galloping was around Leopardstown. Now, this year, he was there jumping the second last in the big group that all came through after galloping stacked him up in Leopardstown, just gone. And then the rest sort of had 2.5 mile pace, which he doesn't have. If you watch it, if you try and find him after they jump the last, because obviously all the cameras on galloping, he actually stays on to the likes of Hartwood, I think it is, and I think there's another one on the one of the Giggins down on the inside. I think if they get softer, heavy ground, which has been known at Cheltenham on the Friday, it was last year, it was heavy ground. I think he will outrun 100 to 1, definitely, and run into a frame. They've already got Cheevy Park, obviously got Envoy Allen for the Ryanair. I assume he'll go back there because he's won it previously. So they'll want a runner in there. So obviously they won it with Aplutard previously. And he was obviously deemed to be a Brown's horse last year before he got injured. So if they can keep him safe and sound and fit, 100 to 1, I'm willing to take a swing at him for sure for potentially third place. But why not, eh? Let's have a go.
Scotty, what do you think at the present moment in time in the Gold Cup? Are we sticking to fact to file? Or we think Gallopin is just better? And have you any way stab in the dark?
I'm never going to take on Gallopin again, going left-handed over 3 miles, Leopardstown or Cheltenham. No, not this year anyway. I think he wins the Gold Cup again. And it's hard for me to say because I've been mad keen on fact to file for so long. I think Joe's really hit some good points there regarding the campaign for fact to file potentially next season. I think it's the John Durkin King George next year and then the Ryanair next year because Kieran's again hit the nail on the head. It's all kind of like adding up as to what I said on our Christmas review show. Why would fact to file Willie Mullins say to Mark Welsh, go and take Gallopin on, and they'll cut each other's throats up front and then potentially set it up for something to beat the both of them? You don't want to be doing that and throwing grade ones away. I think fact to file has to run in the Gold Cup. He's an 8-year-old. He's not a spring chicken. He's not coming into this race as a 6 or 7-year-old. Why did he go straight chasing after being a bumper horse? Because he's just that year behind everything else. He won his point to point as over 3 miles in 22 when he beat Asian Master. He's just been slightly behind. And Willie doesn't do that very often with his horses. I think Florida Pearly did it with one straight from bumpers to chasing many years ago. And I just think he has to run in the Gold Cup this year. It's pointless wasting him and then waiting a year and then saying, oh, do you know what? He finished second in the Ryanair. We'll go Gold Cup next year. I just think he has to go to the Gold Cup this year. Can he beat Gallopin? I don't think on the evidence we've seen he has a mountain to climb to close the gap. Even if he settles, I don't think he's got the speed to beat Gallopin. I think Gallopin's a quicker horse. I just think Gallopin's unbeatable at Cheltenham if he gets round. And I'd be even tempted to kind of think that fact to file's playing for third place. I think Jerry Colomb could finish second again this year. I think the 1-2 could repeat. And I wouldn't be surprised, not just taking the mickey here because I like the horse, but the likes of Mon Mome and Korak Rambler have finished third in the Gold Cup after winning nationals. Big staying handicap chase horse. Embassy Gardens ran a good race at Tremor. I wouldn't be surprised to see him run a pretty decent race and fill a place here, but it's a big ask for him at 66 to 1. But I just think Gallopin's unopposable, and I just can't see him getting beat. So that'd be my 1, 2, 3. I'll go Gallopin to win. I'd probably say Jerry Colomb to come into second, fact to file to maybe just struggle to get home, and Embassy Gardens to pass him for third.
Before I go to Joe, we'll wrap up the show. I'm going to sit in the fence. I still with fact to file in a way because I think it's very hard still to win 3 Gold Cups. It is. He might look like a complete superstar like he is, and there's no doubt about that. He's very good at Leopardstown, but he is getting soft leads. And I think in the DRF there will be a change of tactics with fact to file and they're going to take him on. And then if he doesn't stay at Leopardstown taking him on, then he'll win and run in the Ryanair. I will say that, and Joe might be right there 100%, but I still think he runs in the Gold Cup because of the entries of JP McManus of Corbett's Cross and Factified and Splans Tower has gone down to the Ryanair, I would say. Now, the other way is like they did last year. I know it's different, completely different. Martin Brasley had fast or slow last year. He did not take on, we were there in the stand, the three of us. He did not take on Gallopin Champ that day. He was looking to see how he would beat him in a Gold Cup. No, and that's what I'm afraid of about Factified running at Leopardstown in a couple of weeks' time. Will Mark Walsh is having another look to see how can I beat him in the Gold Cup, which to me, which might happen, but I'd like to see him take him on. Take him on, might lose by 20 lengths. If he runs like the way they ran in the race at Christmas, Gallopin just still wins because he's unbeatable at Leopardstown. He's like Hurricane Fly, unbeatable at Leopardstown. Towards the Gold Cup for an outsider, I think it's such a poor race that even that he hasn't ran all year. Jerry Calam 14 to 1 is still probably a bet each way if you want to go down that route, but the rest don't bother me at all. If first three surely will be Factified, Gallopin the Champ, and Jerry Calam. In either way, doesn't make a difference. I think it's just a poor. After them, it's poor. That's just me. Joe, we come to you as the boss man, Ginge, the leader of the pack. We'll let you have the final say on the Gold Cup before we wrap it up before next week.
No, this is Gallopin's race to lose now. What we saw at Leopardstown last time out, what we saw at Leopardstown last year, what we saw at Cheltenham last year. I just think he could underperform by nearly £10 and still win this race. Again, provided on the base that I don't think Factified is going to be here. I do, however, still think it's going to be an Irish 1-2-3 with a surprise contender perhaps for the runner-up. One that none of you mentioned, and I'd give Banbridge a bit of a shout here. I think he really impressed me in the King George. Like, he has always been a horse that's been dubbed as like a 2-miler, maybe 2.5. He proved like in the King George that he stays no problem. He's going to have plenty of pace to run at, and he actually did his best work late on. I think he'd have a right chance in the Gold Cup. I do. I think Gallopin will take all the beating. I don't fancy Jerry Colombo at all. I'm a bit concerned about him this year, I must say. But Banbridge, I think he'll stay all day. I think whatever happens, he'll be there picking up the pieces. And then in third place, I think you could possibly look between Monty Star and Embassy Gardens. Big fan of Monty Star. Disappointed over the last day. But I'd be quite confident here that we're going to get a Gallopin at Banbridge 1-2. And it'll make the third Gold Cup of Gallopin's reign, if you like, look even better when he's got the King George winner in behind him. So
yeah, 100%. I didn't think of that now, Banbridge, but no.
We'll
Look, you've said it. He'll stay all day, and he did stay in the King George. Different track on better ground.
Yeah, true.
I think they might have no choice now, Joe, but to go for the Gold Cup. Have a go, Joe. He's done.
You've just won.
He's done a lot in the game. Like in fairness, he's been a decent horse in the Great for the Bartlett. Maybe they might have a go, and I wouldn't blame him.
He'd have less horses to beat in the Gold Cup than he 100%. Would the Ryanair like as well, possibly.
Because he's going to be definitely tap for toe with an argument being in the Champion Chase.
Yeah, sure.
And the Ryanair, I don't know what it is. It's just not a race for him. Maybe he just needs further now. Maybe, yeah.
Do you know Banbridge just reminds me of Tidal Bay in his career, where he was good enough to like win over 2 miles like an Arkle kind of thing, and then he just over time he was just stepped up and he kept on running races where he was out the back of the tail. He never got involved, and then some days he just appear and just be in top form. He's a very hard horse to get on a good day, but if he's got the ability to put it all together, and you wouldn't be surprised if he won the Gold Cup. He's that kind of horse, I think.
He's got speed and stamina, hasn't he? He was possibly coming to beat an Energumene. He was certainly going to be close. He was giving him sort of £10 in the hilly way. So
he's the only horse in training at the moment, in my opinion, who could run in the Champion Chase, the Ryanair, and the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
In every race.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Not LA Francais then, no?
Hey,
no. LA France is a Ryanair.
One last thing. The thing with LA Francais, anything at past 3 miles, I think, is not quite his trip. He got the 3 mile 3 or whatever it was in France and Auteuil. No, he's got too much speed. I know he stays 3. He doesn't stay further than that. So.
Right, so that is another episode done of the Ginger Joe Racing Show, proudly sponsored by Oddschecker. We thank our very, very special guest, and we'll always call him from now on. He's gone away from Apple Away all the way. He's called King KC from now on. So Kieran Clavin from Kieran Clavin Racing, follow him on Twitter at Kieran Clavin, I think, Racing. Isn't that right, Kieran?
Yeah, my Twitter handle's actually on my main thing. But
Lovely. At the end there of the show, at Kieran_Clavin.
Oh,
yeah.
Kieran, thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate your time.
Cheers for having me, guys, as ever.
And to my esteemed wingman, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you, James. Thanks, Kieran. Thanks, Scotty. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in as well.
No bother. We will be back again next week with another preview with another special guest. We will let you know at the time for the Winter Millions, including the feature of the Clarence House between John Bond and Ergolene. I look forward to that next week. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.